AITA for refusing to protect my wife's perfect image after she mocked our marriage? I never thought silence could get twisted into guilt until my wife started telling people our marriage was falling apart because I didn't care enough. I'm Justin, 37, and by the time this happened, Megan and I had been married for 9 years. I'm a husband who always believed the quiet parts of marriage were supposed to stay protected. We were the couple who brought extra folding chairs to cookouts, remembered people's kids' birthdays, and hosted Sunday dinners when nobody else wanted to clean their kitchen. I used to think that kind of steady love mattered. I thought showing up, paying attention, and keeping our private problems private was part of being a good husband. Megan saw it differently, or at least she started seeing it differently once her friends began clapping every time she turned our marriage into a joke. For most of our marriage, Megan was easy to love. She was warm in rooms where everybody else felt awkward. She could make a boring grocery run feel like a little date by making some dumb comment in the cereal aisle. I was never the loud one. I was the steady one. For a long time, that worked for us. Then, somewhere around year 7, I noticed she started measuring our marriage by how other people reacted to it. If her friends said I was too serious, she repeated it later like it was a diagnosis. If Ashley said Megan deserved more romance, Megan came home acting like I had failed a test I never knew I was taking. Ashley had been her closest friend for years, the kind of friend who always seemed to know the right thing to say if the goal was making Megan feel wronged. At first, the comments were small enough that I tried not to make a big deal out of them. Megan would joke that we were roommates with a Costco card. She told people I was better at loading a dishwasher than being spontaneous. She said I had become predictable. Sometimes she said it at barbecues, with a plastic cup in her hand and a smile on her face, like I was supposed to laugh because everyone else did. I didn't love hearing it, but I told myself spouses vent. People joke. Marriage gets routine. I didn't want to be the guy who policed every sentence his wife said to her friends. So I tried to handle it privately. I planned dinners without making a production out of it. I left sticky notes on the kitchen counter before she woke up. One morning I wrote, "Coffee's ready. I love you. Let's do something this weekend." She sent back a heart emoji, then spent Saturday at brunch with Ashley because Ashley needed her. I asked Megan directly if she felt ignored. Sometimes she said no. Sometimes she sighed and said, "I just wish you were more present." When I asked what that meant, she would make a face like I had ruined the whole conversation. "See," she'd say, "you make everything heavy." I suggested counseling 3 times over the next year. The first time, she said we were not that kind of couple. The second time, she said she didn't want to tell a stranger our business. The third time, I put an intake appointment on our shared calendar after she said, "Fine, look into it if you care that much." The next day, the calendar entry was gone. When I asked about it, she said, "I was overwhelmed. Don't start." So I didn't start. I backed off. I kept trying in smaller ways, because I thought patience was maturity. Looking back, patience can become permission if the other person is using it to keep pushing. The night everything shifted was a couple's dinner at a friend's house. Nothing fancy. Paper napkins, too much takeout, everyone standing around the kitchen island with drinks and gossip, while somebody tried to find space in the fridge for 3 containers of leftovers. Ashley was there, of course. So were a few shared friends, people I had known for years. The mood was normal until one of Megan's friends, already tipsy, looked at me while everyone was laughing about marriage routines and said, "Careful, Megan, don't ask Justin to plan the after party. He might just fold laundry and call it romance." The room went quiet in that fake way people get quiet when they know a joke landed somewhere it should not have. Megan laughed too fast. Ashley looked down into her drink. One of the husbands coughed and suddenly became very interested in the takeout lids. I looked at Megan, and for the first time I realized everyone at that kitchen island knew something about my marriage I had never agreed to share. I did not make a scene. I did not ask the friend what she meant. I did not drag Megan outside. I stood there, smiled just enough to get through the next 20 minutes, and said we had an early morning. On the drive home, Megan stared out the passenger window like the glass had personally offended her. I asked, "What was that comment about?" "It was a joke," she said. "A joke based on what?" She rolled her eyes. "Everybody talks to their friends. Justin, you're acting like I leaked government secrets. I'm acting like private things between us are not party material. You're being insecure." That word landed harder than I expected. Not because it was true, but because it was easy. It gave her a way to turn my dignity into her inconvenience. I said, I have asked you to talk to me for months. And I have feelings, too. I never said you didn't. Then stop acting like I'm not allowed to vent. I looked at the road for a few seconds because I knew if I spoke too quickly, I would say something sharp enough for her to use later. Finally, I said, venting is not the same as turning me into a punchline. Megan folded her arms and said the line that became her shield for weeks. It's not like I lied. But she had lied. Maybe not in one clean sentence someone could underline in red. She lied by leaving things out. She lied by letting people believe I was indifferent. She lied by acting like I refused to listen when I had been asking her for months to talk to me honestly. A few nights later, the truth got harder to ignore. Megan left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went upstairs to take a shower. I was packing leftovers into a container, one of those mindless little chores I had done 1,000 times, when her screen lit up. I did not unlock it. I did not scroll. I saw one preview. Ashley. Did Mr. Disappointment finally try again, or did he just fold laundry? It felt like being slapped in a room where nobody else moved. When Megan came back downstairs with wet hair and a sweatshirt on, I was still standing by the counter. I said, explain this. Her eyes went straight to the phone. She snatched it up so quickly the charger slid off the counter. Why are you looking at my messages? Because your messages are apparently looking at me. That is not okay, Justin. No. What is not okay is your friend calling me that. She was joking. Again, a joke based on what? Megan's face tightened. You're making this sound worse than it was. You don't get to humiliate me in public and then hide behind privacy. For the first time, she looked nervous instead of annoyed. It was quick, just a flash across her face, but I saw it. The truth came out in pieces, not all at once. First, Megan admitted she had told Ashley she felt unwanted. Then she admitted the girls' night group chat knew some things. Then she insisted I was being dramatic because it was only inside a safe circle. Safe for who? Not for me. A week later, we went to a backyard barbecue. I almost skipped it, but Megan said avoiding people would make things weird. I remember standing near the grill, holding a plate with a burger I did not want, while two people near the cooler suddenly stopped talking when I walked over. One of them smiled too wide and said, "Hey man," like he had been caught stealing. That night, a shared friend accidentally texted me instead of Megan. I honestly felt bad for him tonight. Does he know what people call him? I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Who is this meant for? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then she called me. Her voice was shaky. Justin, I am so sorry. That wasn't meant for you. I gathered that. I don't want to be in the middle. You already are if you're asking whether I know what people call me. She went quiet. Then she said, I didn't know you didn't know. The next morning, she sent screenshots. Not everything, she said, but enough. She told me she felt guilty because the jokes had gone too far, and she didn't want me walking around thinking people were just being awkward for no reason. That was how I saw the names. Not one, several. All wrapped in laughing emojis, wine glass emojis, and fake concern. Megan had told them I did not try. She told them I treated marriage like maintenance. She told them I shut down when she wanted closeness. She told them she felt like she was married to a man who could organize a pantry but could not notice his wife falling apart. What she did not tell them was that I had asked for counseling 3 times. She did not tell them I had put an appointment on our shared calendar and she deleted it. She did not tell them I asked, more than once, can we please talk about this privately tonight? And got back, I'm not doing one of your serious talks. She did not tell them that when I said the jokes hurt, she called me insecure. They knew punchlines about me before I knew the complaint. Then I saw the message that changed everything. Megan to Ashley. If I make him look bad enough, maybe he'll finally try harder. I read it once. Then again. Then I put my phone face down on the table and just sat there. That was not venting. That was strategy. And the ugliest part was that her strategy worked on everyone except me. Her friends saw her as the lonely wife. Her mother saw her as the daughter trying to save a cold marriage. I became the silent problem because silence is easy to accuse. I wanted to wake Megan up and ask her what kind of person says that about someone they claim to love. I wanted to send screenshots to every person who had laughed. I wanted to pack a bag and disappear for a few days just to make the house feel as empty as she had been telling people it was. Instead, I called Caleb. Caleb has been my closest friend long enough to know when I am angry, and when I am past angry. He listened without interrupting while I told him about the dinner, the phone preview, the accidental text, and the screenshots. When I finished, he said, "Do not hand them the meltdown they are waiting for." I rubbed my eyes and said, "So what am I supposed to do? Just let everybody think I'm the problem?" "No," he said. "Write down the timeline. Dates. Facts. Screenshots. What you asked for. What she refused. What got said about you. Facts first. Feelings after." I didn't answer right away. Caleb said, "Don't fight a rumor with a meltdown. Fight it with receipts and a clean conscience." So I did. I made a folder on my laptop. Then I printed a copy because sometimes paper makes denial harder. I wrote down the dates I asked Megan to talk. The nights she said she was too tired. The counseling appointment I put on the shared calendar. The email from the counselor confirming an intake slot. The screenshot showing the calendar entry before it disappeared. The text where I tried to talk privately and she brushed me off. The screenshots sent by the shared friend. The message where Megan said making me look bad might make me try harder. I also pulled up the credit card statements. Not because our household money was the point, but because I needed to see the pattern clearly. I had been quietly covering the personal extras she used to keep that audience around. Spa deposits with Ashley, dinner tabs from nights she called mental health breaks, subscription boxes she forgot she had signed up for, weekend charges with the same friends who were mocking me in a group chat. I titled the folder, "What Was Said About Me," before anyone asked me. Then I changed how I moved. Megan noticed immediately because she was used to my steadiness being automatic. There was a couples weekend coming up, one she had been excited about because everyone would be there and Ashley had already picked some matching dinner spot for photos. Megan brought it up while I was loading the dishwasher. "Did you confirm the place?" she asked. "No. I canceled our part." She blinked. "You what?" "I'm not going." "Justin, that's embarrassing." I closed the dishwasher and turned around. "I'm not performing happiness for people who were invited to disrespect me. You're punishing me for talking to my friends." "No. I'm declining to pose for the audience." She stared at me like I had changed the rules of gravity. A few days later, she called me from a parking lot. I could hear traffic and her frustrated breathing. "My card got declined for the spa deposit." Okay. It's the one Ashley organized. You usually cover that card and I pay you back. You don't pay me back for those. That's not fair. I'm not financing the audience." She went silent. Then she said, low and tight, "So now you're controlling money." "No. Household bills are handled. Groceries are handled. Anything necessary is handled. Your personal extras with people who mock me are not my responsibility anymore. You're making me look bad." "No, Megan. I stopped helping you look good." That was when the real pressure started. Megan stopped saying she was sorry and started saying she was scared about us. She used softer words around other people. Hurt, lonely, abandoned, punished. She told Linda, her mother, that I had become cold. She told 2 shared friends that I was withholding affection and refusing to fight for the marriage. She did not mention why I was sleeping in the guest room. She did not mention the group chat. She did not mention the message. The guest room became my quiet place. Folded blankets on the end of the bed. A phone charger plugged in beside the nightstand. A half-empty glass of water that somehow stayed there every morning because I kept forgetting to bring it downstairs. It was not dramatic. It was just the one room in the house where I was not expected to pretend everything was normal. One Friday evening, Megan stood in the hallway and said, "My mom wants to come by Sunday. For dinner. She's worried about us." I looked at her. "Who else is coming?" She hesitated half a second too long. "A few people. Just support." Support, I had learned, meant witnesses. Sunday dinners used to be the safest thing in our family. Megan would put too much food on the table. Linda would bring dessert even when we told her not to, and people would talk over each other until someone spilled something. That Sunday felt different before anyone sat down. Linda came in with a tight smile and hugged Megan longer than usual. 2 relatives followed, then 2 shared friends. Ashley walked in last, carrying a bottle of wine like she was arriving to a show she had helped produce. I did not touch the wine. Dinner itself was awkward. Forks scraped plates. People asked strange little questions that were not questions. "How have you been sleeping, Justin?" "Busy week." "Marriage takes work, you know." After dinner, Megan asked everyone to move to the living room. She sat beside me on the couch with red eyes she had clearly prepared before the conversation started. She said, "I don't want this to be a pile-on. I just feel like I've been trying to save something alone." I looked at the coffee table. Linda leaned forward. "Justin, I love you, but a marriage doesn't survive if a husband refuses to try." Ashley nodded like she had been waiting for her cue. "Maybe if you listened before," she said, "she wouldn't have needed to vent." There it was. The clean little version. Megan was the wife who felt too much. I was the husband who cared too little. Everyone could go home feeling noble for correcting me. I looked around the room. These people had already heard my marriage discussed in detail without me. Now they wanted my defense to be polite enough not to embarrass the woman who had embarrassed me for months. I reached beside the chair and picked up the folder. Megan's face changed. "Justin," she whispered. "Don't." That whisper told me everything. She was not confused. She was not shocked. She knew exactly what she had done. She just had not expected me to stop absorbing it. I said, "Since everyone here has apparently heard about my marriage, you should hear the part Megan left out." Nobody moved. I did not shout. I did not insult her. I did not read anything graphic or private in a way that would make me no better than the people who had been laughing. I kept it to the facts. I showed Linda the counselor's email confirming the intake appointment. I showed the shared calendar entry. I showed the screenshot taken before the appointment disappeared. I showed the text where I asked Megan, "Can we please talk about this privately tonight?" And Megan replied, "I'm not doing one of your serious talks." Linda's lips pressed together. I showed the message from Ashley calling me Mr. Disappointment. Ashley scoffed. "That's one message." "No," I said. "That's the one I saw before someone else sent the rest." I showed enough of the group chat to prove the pattern. Not every line. Not every ugly nickname. Just enough. The room got quieter with every page. Then I placed the last screenshot on the coffee table and turned it toward Megan. Megan to Ashley. "If I make him look bad enough, maybe he'll finally try harder." Linda picked it up slowly. Her face did not crumple in some dramatic movie way. It just changed. The disappointment she had walked in carrying for me shifted into something heavier and more embarrassed. Megan started crying. "I was just hurt," she said. I nodded once. "So was I? I just didn't invite an audience." Ashley leaned back and crossed her arms. "This is exactly what controlling guys do." "You're really keeping a folder? That's weird, Justin." I looked at her. Receipts feel weird when you thought the other person would stay quiet. She needed a safe place to talk. A safe place to lie by omission. A safe place to give me nicknames. A safe place to let people who eat at my table laugh at me. Megan wiped her face. "You're making me sound horrible." "No," I said. "I'm making the story accurate." Linda turned to Megan. "Did you really say all this before he knew there was a problem?" Megan opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Linda tried again, quieter. "Did he ask for counseling?" Megan stared at her hands. "Yes," she said. "And you told me he refused to try." "I didn't say it like that." Linda held up the screenshot. "You let me believe it like that." One of the shared friends looked sick. Another kept looking at the floor. One of the relatives muttered, "Damn," under his breath and then apologized to nobody in particular. Ashley still tried to recover. "Wives are allowed to talk to their friends," she said. I looked at Megan, not Ashley. Privacy protects a marriage. Secrecy protects a lie. Then I said the thing I had been holding in for weeks. "You made our private problems public. I'm only correcting the version you sold." No one clapped. No one cheered. It was not that kind of moment. It was worse for Megan than that. It was silence. It was people seeing her clearly and not knowing what to do with what they saw. Ashley left early. She said she had a headache, but she still took the wine. The rest of the night dissolved in awkward little movements. Linda helped clear plates without saying much. One friend whispered, "I'm sorry," near the sink, but it sounded more like panic than an apology. Megan went upstairs before everyone left. After the door closed behind the last person, my phone started buzzing. The group chat exploded first. I was not in it, but Megan showed me because I told her I was done discussing shadows. One friend wrote, "I didn't know he had asked for counseling." Another wrote, "This went too far." A husband messaged me separately and said, "I should have shut the jokes down earlier. I'm sorry, man." It was awkward, but I believed him more than the people who said nothing. Ashley left the chat after sending one last message about how some people can't handle accountability unless they control the room. Nobody responded to it, at least not in the screenshot Megan showed me. Megan's first attempt at an apology was weak. She wrote, "I shared too much and I'm sorry this got messy." I read it and handed the phone back. "No." She looked exhausted. "What do you want from me?" The truth. Sharing too much was not the whole problem. Lying by omission was. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she typed again. This time, it was clearer. I exaggerated things about Justin and our marriage. I let private issues become jokes. I made it sound like he refused to try when he had asked me to talk and suggested counseling. I was wrong to let any of you mock him, and I'm sorry. She hovered over send. I said nothing. She hit it. It did not fix everything. It did not even come close. But it was the first honest sentence she had said in a long time. Linda called me the next morning. I missed the call because I was making coffee, and she left a voice message. Her voice sounded tired and embarrassed. "Justin, it's Linda. I owe you an apology. I only knew the version she gave me. I thought I was protecting my daughter. I didn't realize I was helping her pressure you. I'm sorry. I listened to it twice before calling her back." She apologized again, and I believed her. But I also told her, "I'm not going to discuss my marriage through you anymore." She said, "That's fair." Then, softer, she said, "I'm going to ask her harder questions from now on. Ask her what she has said to me first." I said, "I will." Ashley tried one more time to twist it. She texted Megan privately and said I had isolated her, that this was how men cut women off from their support systems. Megan showed me the message on her own, without me asking. That mattered. Small, but it mattered. She typed back, "Justin didn't isolate me. I lied about what was happening and let people laugh at him. Don't call that support." Ashley did not respond. 2 nights later, Megan came to the guest room. I was sitting on the bed with my back against the wall, folded blankets near my feet, phone charger stretched across the nightstand, and the same half-empty glass of water beside me. She stood in the doorway wearing an old sweatshirt and holding her phone like it weighed 10 pounds. "I didn't think it would go that far," she said. I looked at her for a few seconds. "That's the problem," I said. "You only thought about how it felt to say it, not what it would cost when I had to live with it." She cried again. Quiet this time. No audience. No speech. I did not get up to comfort her the way I normally would have. That sounds cold, and maybe part of it was. But for years my first reaction to her tears had been to make her feel better, even when I was the one bleeding. I was done rewarding the same pattern. She sat on the edge of the bed, not too close. "Do you still want to fix our marriage?" she asked. I told her the truth. "I don't know if I can, but I know what it would take." She nodded, staring at the carpet. "Marriage counseling happens," I said. "And when we go, you tell the counselor the real reason we're there from the first session. Not that I got distant. Not that I'm punishing you. The real reason. Okay. No more group chat autopsies of our private life. No more friends brought into our arguments like a jury. No more public image of the sweet, struggling wife while I quietly carry the blame." She wiped her face with her sleeve. "Ashley does not get access to our marriage anymore," I said. Megan looked up. "She's been my friend for a long time. I'm not telling you who you can know. I'm telling you she doesn't get our private life. Anyone who mocked me doesn't get our private life." She looked away, then nodded. "And if you try to turn me into the villain again," I said, "I will speak to a family attorney and protect myself. I'm not threatening you. I'm telling you I won't sit quietly while someone rewrites my life." Her mouth tightened. "That sounds like you're punishing me." "No," I said. "I'm giving you the terms for rebuilding trust after you spent months spending mine." For once, she did not argue. We went to counseling the next week. The intake form had a section that asked, "Primary reason for attending." Megan held the pen for so long I thought she might try to write around it. Then she wrote, "I damaged trust by sharing private marriage issues and misrepresenting my husband to others." The counselor read it quietly and asked, "Is that accurate for both of you?" I said yes. Megan said, "Yes." That was not healing. Not yet. But it was a start I could respect. I did not move back into our bedroom right away. I did not start attending dinners with her friends. I did not pretend one apology erased the fact that she had made humiliation part of our marriage. But Megan changed in ways I could actually see. When Linda called one afternoon and Megan started to complain that things were still tense, Linda asked, "Have you talked to Justin about that?" Megan glanced at me across the kitchen and said, "No. Ask me what I said to him first." Then she hung up and talked to me instead. It was uncomfortable. It was messy. It was better than being turned into a group project behind my back. A couple of shared friends apologized properly. One texted, "I laughed because I thought you both joked about it. That was a coward excuse. I'm sorry. I appreciated the honesty, even though I had no interest in pretending we were close after that." Some people stayed silent. Ashley acted like she was above it all and stopped coming around when she realized Megan was not feeding her material anymore. Megan also corrected people without me asking. At a small family dinner weeks later, one relative made a half joke about me being hard to impress, and Megan immediately said, "Don't do that." I made people think things that weren't fair to him. The room got awkward. Good. Some things should feel awkward after they have been made too easy. I am still angry sometimes. I still sleep badly some nights. I still wonder if bringing that folder out at Sunday dinner crossed a line. Part of me hates that people saw even a piece of our private damage, because that was the exact thing I had tried to avoid for years. But there is a difference between exposing a marriage for entertainment and correcting a lie that is already being used against you. Megan wanted me to prove I was still a good husband while she treated my dignity like something to pass around with wine and laughing emojis. I did not beg her to respect me. I stopped protecting her from the consequences of disrespecting me. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.